Hi. So before I get started, I just want to let whoever's viewing right away know off the bat. I've had some technical problems with creating these videos, and especially with working the programs like especially Rebelle, which uses a lot of memory and pulls a lot more from my computer, and then running it in addition to the OBS Studio, which I use to record my videos. And it's sometimes the software behaves a little wonky like it has here, and because of that I really wasn't able to get through all of this or record all of this towards the end. I just decided to shut down and just finish the painting altogether, but without recording it. But I got a great deal of it done before I did that, so it's not, hopefully it's not too big of a jump from the end of this video to the final painting, which it's been a bit of a struggle. You really don't want to struggle with your software or your computer. Drawing is definitely hard enough. It's something that I want to concentrate on, and that's that's one of the things that I find that that I like using traditional media better than I do digital media. I mean, digital media is fine when everything works out perfect. The computer's working perfectly, the program is working perfectly, there's no glitches, there's no problems, blah, 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 on and on and on. But working with traditional media, there's really, if anything's faulty, I have no one to blame but myself. Because like I said, drawing is hard enough, and it's hard enough to do what I need to do as far as working out the drawing, working out the proportions, working out the light and dark, whatever it gets involved. So here I am trying to use the pastel and working in Rebelle, and I love the pastel brush when everything is working right. And like I said, there's nothing wrong. It's just a matter of it working while I'm recording. Now I tried different settings on the recording software and so forth. And also one of the things is I'm having a problem with is I bought a new graphics card a while ago, and it's really I'm starting to realize it's a lot more than just putting it in and turning on the power button. There's a lot of setup I just need to do, which I thought I did. Obviously I need to make some adjustments, but anyway, here I am painting this or I don't know whether it's a pastel drawing or pastel painting, but it's a one of my son. It's a photo that I took a long time back, about a year or two ago, and one of the things is, if you look at my videos or you look at my paintings, there are times where I would take the same reference, I don't throw it out, and I would use it over again. And the reason I do this is because, one, I might feel like I can do a better job than I did last time, which is usually always the case. And the other thing is that why not? Why not? Why not explore and see? What has, not just what has changed in me, but what in terms of my being able to use that same reference and make a better drawing, but maybe my views or my thoughts about drawing and painting have changed, that I can add something new to it, and just to see where it goes from there. I know there are several artists that I've seen done that. I would see elements like their paintings that they had done in the past, and then later on I would see elements of those paintings, the best part of those paintings, redone and incorporated into other paintings. I've seen that in David Levine's watercolors, and sometimes you would see figures that were done earlier, and they were just put into a new composition and added to a painting, and with changes with I think just not fitting into, into the environment of the composition, but also just just the years have made him a better artist, and he would have applied what he had learned in the years that followed when he first made when he did his first attempt. So anyway, I do the same thing. There are times I would bring up the first not the first, I'm sorry, would bring up a old reference photo that I've used a long time ago in the past, or sometimes even when I finish the work and I'm not satisfied with it, sometimes I would say to myself that, sometime in the future I would revisit it, and I may be too sick and tired of doing it right then and there because of how I initially struggled with that particular painting and using that particular reference, but it's something that I would keep in mind, that I would make this attempt again, and I've done that before with many different references that I've used. The thing about it is that I know that for other artists, if they don't use a photo reference, sometimes they would just update the use the painting or the drawing or the painting that they had done before as their new reference and just improve upon it. And something that I haven't done, but that might be interesting too. But in any case, here is a painting of my son, and what I'm doing is I'm using the pastel brushes in Rebelle, which I'll say again, I do enjoy them a lot. And I'm also using, along with the pastel brushes, I use the blender tool, which you see it highlighted on the top left. And I use that just to pretty much like you would use a stump on a drawing. And I'm doing this, I'm just going to do this in black and white. I'm not going to add color to this. I was more or less thinking of a pastel drawing or a charcoal drawing. In either case, it's really the same thing. They're all made of this. The pastels and charcoal are made of the same thing. I believe it is. But here he is. So again, I'm not going to talk too long on this. I'm going to let what I do speak for itself, unless I feel like I have something to add to it. I think one of the things that I did wrong when I first started this is that I should have worked on a tone background and not an all white background, because when you do that, you're rushing to cover everything up, and because the whole thing is going to be painted. So, but apart from that, I like the fact that like working in charcoal, working in charcoal, you don't have to be. You want to be as exact as you can, but I keep it loose to begin with. Like, I'm just building up the planes, and I'm not really trying to define anything or render anything. I'm just trying to build up the shadow areas, and that's partly as a result of not having put in background tone. At the same time, I'm also trying to keep it simple. I'm not trying to do too much. I'm not trying to render a lot, and that's partly my goal when I paint and draw. I'm trying to see how much I can get down without having to put down too much. I like rendering, and I've always did, and but sometimes I think I render too much, and I'm not photorealistic or anything like that. But I do believe that I make that a drawing or a painting makes a stronger statement when it's about the big shapes and not the little details. I think it has more of an impact, and that is more of what I shoot for. I shoot for the big shapes and not the little details. I think so much concern about the little details is like everybody's trying to be a camera, and I appreciate the skill and the hard work that goes into that type of a thing. But at the same time, if the painting is just all about the details, and you can just take a picture and you're done. I'm trying to distill it or reinterpret it in a way that leaves a bigger impact and makes a bigger statement than what the reference does. So I'm not trying to uh, slavishly copy the reference. I'm trying to reinterpret it like and put it out into the world in a way that's unique. So and you can take that to extremes. I don't take it to extremes because I want to be able to recognize the thing or the person that I'm painting, but at the same time, I want to do it in such a way that it sets it apart from the reference, or the reference that I use. So anyway, like I said, I'm just trying to do like the big shapes, and I should have done a background tone in hindsight. And I do sometimes it's good to think about what you're gonna do before you do it. And a lot of these, I'm just moving on the drawing. We've been in the middle of this pandemic, and so sometimes what I do is I get up and I just start working. I start working on my computer. I start working on my desk. I start working, wherever I can find a corner and start working. And but sometimes I think it's better to well, not sometimes, really it is better just to plan things out before one rushes right into the thing, because you create for yourself a bigger struggle than you need to, like I did here. But it's also fun to pull this all together at some point. It is fun when it works out. Rather, let me say, it's not fun to struggle through it. But I'm going to speed this video up like I normally do, because if not, it's going to be a longer video than I think people have the patience to sit down and watch. But at this, I won't speed it up so much that you won't be able to follow along. So I'll be back if I have anything more to say. All right, so what I want to do is go over just how I use the brushes. Just something you might miss when I'm working in Rebelle, or when I'm working on these on any program in these videos, and you might not see what it is that I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and just open a document here and just make it really simple in Rebelle. And this is one thing that doesn't pop up too often in my videos, where you see how I start. And I'm going to choose the pastel. Now you have a number of options here, the square, hard, and those are not as important to me. I do switch off from time to time, but what's important to me, let me do the soft, is size and pressure, because it makes a lot of difference when this is at a low setting as far as pressure is concerned. I hate when this pops up. Don't show me. Okay. And I have to press very hard for something to come up. Okay, if I set it here, you see it's not that. So it's not that difficult, and obviously it comes up a lot harder. Now, so this is what I play with when I'm using these this particular brush in Rebelle, and you see I get a whole different feel to it. If I add more pressure, of course, it becomes darker. Now I made the size a bit smaller. If I made it larger, then you'd see. And then another thing, let me just put something else in here that you will see me do in the course of a video, is use this tool right here, which is the blender tool, and it has the same thing. You know, it has where I'm working with a lot of pressure. And I also have the option of soft and hard. Hard will give you a different feel. And also when there's not as much pressure. You know, I go ahead and use it that way. So when I'm using this, and like I said, sometimes this you can use like a stomp, something to blend your drawing with. And in addition to that, what I usually do is also I'll add a layer and say I want to make changes in these, but maybe they're subtle. And I want to change the color, make it warm. Oh, that's a different brush. Alright, so I'll put more pressure, and I'll come over this and see how I can still see what's underneath. And depending on how much opacity you have on the layer, and I'll change the opacity here, you can, you know, it gets warmer or whatever, you know, that particular layer, you decide what influence that layer has over your over the bottom layer, you know. So there you have it. That's some things that I do that you might not pick up when I'm while you know the video's speeding up or whatever. But that's how I use these tools. That's it. That's simply these are the settings that I use. I might, you know, decide to use the hard chiseled edge. Let me see. Let me go to the layer where this. I might use the hard chisel edge, or this. What do they call it? This is. I don't know what it's called. It's hidden from me. But either way, you know, the more pressure you put on, the easier it glides. The less pressure you put on, the more it's kind of like a dry brush type of thing, you know. and you may want that to work up on, which I do. I want that to work up on the drawing slowly and not have to uh, um, put too much color or deposit too much color in an area or too much value or whatever. I want to be able to work up the drawing slowly and to get to what I want. So anyway, that's pretty much it. That's the way I use these tools, especially the pastel tools. The other tools I use in a similar way, I use the layers. Like I said, all I do is open up a layer and I change the opacity. And once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and merge the layers. Uh, I'll go ahead and merge the layers so that you just have one layer, and then that way it takes up less memory or less computer power to keep on working on this, because this program uses up a lot of the computer. So that's pretty much it. All right, so I'm going to continue with the painting. All right, so using that method which I talked about earlier, you can see how I got pretty far. Like I said, I just using the pastel and the blender tool, and then changing the properties with adding more pressure. All I did was add more pressure, or decrease or increase the size of the brush. Obviously you increase the size to cover a larger area. You decrease the size to be more specific and be able to get into something that's requires a little bit more attention or detail. But like I said, I wanted to keep that down to a minimum. So again, I was having trouble with the software, and I got pretty far. This is a pretty decent way to go with just a few places here and there. There really wasn't a lot of changes that I needed to make. Those changes are mostly subtle. There's others that I needed to, to really work on. But like I just needed to go and not detail, but redefining the shapes within the shapes, and let that stand for the detail, and correcting the drawing here and there. These are the things that I needed to work on, but I got pretty far using the way that I talked about in earlier on in the video, using the properties of the brush, and also using the layers, and lowering the opacity, and then working on making those changes that I needed to make. And that was pretty much what I do. Everything else was basically just my ability to draw. That's how I handle these tools, which is really simple. If I stick to that, I can work out a decent a drawing, depending on how well I am at that particular day or that particular morning at drawing. Because sometimes you don't feel like drawing. Sometimes you're not in I'm not saying in the mood, but in the zone, or whatever it is. Sometimes you're just not. You're just not all there. I don't know whether there's distractions or whatever. Every situation is individual, but there have you. Okay, I have. I'm pretty much done with this as far as I could take it without having to continually work on what this computer needs to make it better. It's if I come into money, I'll just buy a new computer. But up until then, I'll just see what I need to do to work this out. So anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you see the results here, and hopefully it's not too big of a jump for you. But I promise I will get this resolved and come up with even more videos. All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.